Welcome to the University of Hong Kong. Thank you for joining the lecture by the Center of Buddhist Studies, Exploring the Treasures of the Mind. We are very happy to have this opportunity today. We have invited Khenpo to the University of Hong Kong to give us a teaching. Now let's welcome Khenpo Sodargye to the stage. Thank you.
I am very pleased today to have this opportunity to be present here with the teachers and students of the University of Hong Kong, as well as other respected scholars, to engage in this exchange of ideas together. Before we begin our discussion, as a Buddhist, there are some things that truly make me very happy, but also there are some things that concern me. I would also like to sincerely share these valuable insights with everyone gathered here, as well as with all Buddhist friends. What truly makes me very happy is that nowadays, even at a university like the University of Hong Kong, there is a Buddhist study center of considerable scale, which also proudly offers comprehensive master's and doctoral degrees, and is a very strong and well-established institution. It conducts long-term research, engages in continuous study and thoughtful reflection, and actively promotes the Dharma. For us, this is a truly meaningful and profoundly significant event. We also wanted to, as I just discussed in detail with the relevant Dharma teachers and those in charge, in the near future collaborate closely with Tibetan Buddhism or with those who have achieved excellent results in Tibetan Buddhist practice, especially in the crucial area of meditation. In this important regard, I think we can effectively work together with the University of Hong Kong and have truly excellent and deeply shared research topics, including those on the profound study of Buddhism and modern science, and also joint cooperation in the significant area of spiritual cultivation. I firmly believe there are indeed many good and promising opportunities, and I sincerely hope that the relevant personnel and all those who are truly dedicated to this cause, in the future, in this field, everyone should play their respective roles. Because we are indeed profoundly attracted by the truly profound teachings and the deeply intricate theories of Buddhism, whether considered in terms of personal faith or rigorous academic pursuits, and in many other significant aspects, as for myself regarding the doctrines and the wisdom of Buddhism, I can state that not just in this present lifetime, but even in this life and in all lives after, I will never truly part from such profound teachings. I have this deep confidence from the very bottom of my heart. I think there are also many intellectuals who are happy to participate. In the process of participating, everyone is not driven by selfish motives, because in today's society, utilitarianism is very strong. Everyone is striving from morning till night for their own interests. I think this is not very valuable or meaningful. The most meaningful thing is first to promote the Dharma. The second is to rely on such truths to benefit and help sentient beings. I believe this is an extremely significant and truly important matter, so everyone should actively strive to participate and contribute. The second crucial point I am deeply contemplating is, as for the current situation in Hong Kong, I am also quite intimately familiar with its unique characteristics. I first came to this city as early as 10 or even 20 years ago. Consequently, I also possess a very good and comprehensive understanding of the specific situation of the Buddhist community residing here. Speaking of the Buddhist faith, there was quite a lot of freedom in many aspects. 20 years ago, I personally indeed envied that. Back then, it was probably in the 1970s or 1980s. His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche established some spiritual centers here. In 1987, I once saw some photos. At that time, in mainland China, basically in the cities, Tibetan Buddhism or other Buddhist traditions were rarely widely. Later, I also came here 10 years ago. But here, perhaps to be honest, because it is too open, in some places, there are also situations where good and bad are mixed together. In my view, the true Buddhism in Hong Kong in terms of practice, research and academia has made some breakthrough progress in certain areas. But in some respects, compared with 20 years ago, not only has there been no progress, there has even been decline. I have even seen many Hong Kong people, because every day people are busy with life, moving at an especially fast pace. Even on the streets, it seems like even before the traffic lights change from red to green, people are already running the red light and rushing across the street. Many people are just desperately hurrying along, and this is becoming more and more common. In this era, it is indeed quite difficult to truly embrace Buddhism, but most importantly, there are some individuals who are particularly not in accordance with the Dharma. And in these places, they often stand out more, honestly speaking. Some are not even Tibetan Buddhism at all, but still operate under the name of Tibetan Buddhism, and they have thousands upon thousands of followers who are extremely devoted, including the distinctive clothes they wear and some of the things they do. These practices are distinctly neither traditional Tibetan Buddhism nor conventional Chinese Buddhism. Yet, despite these clear differences, these particular practices are often quite widely popular here. As for the genuine study of Buddhist theory and its actual practice, I asked some Buddhists, and basically many of them are busy with their daily lives. Consequently, they don't practice as diligently as people do in the mainland. A significant number of people don't have this practice, which is truly a pity. Take the mainland, for example. Of course, there are also many improper practices, including among monks and there are also some improper phenomena in both Tibetan Buddhism and Chinese Buddhism. But over there, it's not done so openly and blatantly. They can gather a large number of people wearing all kinds of clothes, even strange hats. All sorts of bizarre things are very well received by everyone. This kind of phenomenon basically doesn't exist. Most Buddhists tend to move in a positive direction. Especially when it comes to studying the Dharma, they walk a more upright path. So on certain issues, I think as Buddhists, of course, most of the participants today are students and teachers from this university. In this case, they may not necessarily be devout Buddhists, but they have an interest in studying Buddhism. And as for other intellectuals and Buddhist friends, they should bear a certain significant responsibility toward Buddhism. When we observe Buddhism in its current state, what kind of mindset should we truly have to, on the one hand, help save? This is something that deserves our attention. Now, for today's lecture, the main focus is for all of us to explore the mysteries of the mind or the treasures within our own minds. Of course, if we were to dig a little deeper into this matter, or perhaps try to understand this complex issue even further, we would find to fully comprehend, realize, and attain the mysteries of the mind is not an easy task, let alone today, when we only have about 1 or 2 hours to explain everything clearly to everyone. It's impossible for me to explain it all, and it's also impossible for you to fully understand it. But it is important for us to symbolically understand the intricate mysteries of the mind and the fundamental nature of the mind itself. First, let's talk from a more worldly perspective. How we deeply regard our inner mind is extremely important. Nowadays, many people in the world may not be able to fully accept deeper theories and meditative experiences, such as those found in ancient practices. They may not be able to completely accept them. However, it is often observed that simpler or more one-sided teachings are more readily accepted by a large number of people. The most crucial and significant thing to consider, I believe, is that regardless of the specific level of understanding or experience you currently possess, whether you are a monastic, a layperson, or even a university professor, we all need a pure state of mind. First, you could say we need a happy state of mind. Of course, just talking about being happy might be somewhat difficult. I once read a book called Happiness, and in it, it says that happiness is a kind of realization, and realization is a form of happiness. If we can adjust our usual mindset to a state of happiness, that is indeed extremely beneficial. Of course, for those of us who are here, just talking about happiness itself doesn't necessarily mean that we can truly achieve it. But in fact, if we observe with genuine wisdom, happiness is certainly not unattainable. In our daily lives, when we often encounter certain situations, we often tend to feel unhappy, a common human experience. But fortunately, there is a profound way to observe and understand this unhappiness. This insightful approach was mentioned a long time ago by the revered Indian master Shantideva, who in his work, The Bodhisattva's Way of Life, wisely stated, if something can be changed, why not simply be happy? If a situation can be changed, why not just be happy about it? If it truly cannot be remedied or fixed, then what exactly is the use of being upset about it? If something has already happened, like when we accidentally break a bowl, for example, and there is truly no way to fix it, then being unhappy is of no real use at all. In fact, I often use this saying to remind myself. This time I can share this with everyone. You can also deeply reflect on this in your everyday daily life. We often encounter many challenging and unpleasant things. When you feel unhappy or distressed, take a moment to ask yourself and carefully observe your thoughts and feelings. Is this matter truly beyond remedy? Is there really nothing that can be done? If there is absolutely nothing that can be done, then no matter how truly unhappy, deeply pained, intensely resentful, or utterly heartbroken you are today, no matter what, in reality, this is something that can indeed never be undone. There's nothing you can do about it, but if there's still a glimmer of hope, then we should face it proactively and address it with utmost sincerity. Even if you feel unhappy at this time, in fact, this matter can naturally be resolved. This is a particularly precious wisdom left to us by the great sages of the past. Therefore, I think that in our daily lives, sometimes we should pay attention to the knowledge passed down by our predecessors. A scholar once said that the value of our lives lies in thinking and awakening, not merely in survival. Nowadays, many people are constantly worried just for their own survival. And apart from this, there is nothing else. If that's truly the case, then we wouldn't actually be called humans. We would already be part of the natural animal kingdom. As we all know, in the animal kingdom, apart from eating, drinking, and sleeping, or living together with animals of their own kind, there is no higher state of mind. Now, under the pressure of a technologically advanced society, many people's mindsets are very likely to shift toward this more primitive animal-like state. You could even say that such a fundamental mindset is not very different from that of mere animals. Therefore, at times like this, we need to adjust our own minds. No matter what happens, as long as you can think it through, your heart should, in fact, be able to accommodate all the images of the world. As for people in the world, like the writer Victor Hugo in the past, he also said, "The vastest thing in the world is the ocean. What is even vaster than the ocean? It is the void. And what is even vaster than the void? It is the mind." This point, in fact, was already mentioned more than 2,500 years ago when Shakyamuni Buddha said in related scriptures that the mind is like boundless space. The mind is infinite and boundless. Within our minds, there are not just trivial matters. For example, if something happens today and I feel extremely sad about it, if we keep dwelling on this matter and suffering over it, that's actually not the case either. Of course, in Buddhism, there are indeed many truly various theories, comprehensive practices, and significant experiential methods to address this issue. But for now, let's not get into lofty discussions. We won't delve into or discuss such truly profound and incredibly vast systems of intricate meditative practice. This is actually a very simple, worldly principle as well. Nowadays, there are also many books available in the world. Many of the best-selling books are actually just meant to help people feel a bit happier and effectively relieve stress. Because in daily life, whether in the East or the West, the fundamental way people live is basically the same. Now that humanity has entered the 21st century, at this point in time, many things are currently caught in a continuous cycle of mechanization and digitization. At such a challenging time, if we genuinely don't have any effective tips or practical methods to properly adjust our mindset, then living in this complex world, people are very likely to feel especially miserable, deeply distressed, and quite anxious. In such a state, in fact, both the overall efficiency of our daily life and our professional work are not very high at all. Therefore, we should first endeavor to gently relax our minds. This is something that many experienced Western meditators, as well as truly great masters of Tibetan Buddhist meditation, have profoundly realized through their own personal experience. This is commonly called the method of deep relaxation and effective stress relief. Our minds can be completely and truly relaxed. If your mind is genuinely relaxed, then no matter what you might encounter today, it's entirely possible for you not to become too deeply attached to it. The more intensely attached you are, the more you inevitably bind yourself. In the end, it's very likely that your spirit will be completely crushed, or you may experience a breakdown. This kind of challenging situation can indeed happen. So, in the process of cultivating the mind, the first step is to relax the mind. This is also widely called the method of calming the mind. In Chinese Chan Buddhism, the method of calming the mind is a very special and meaningful practice. I once read a book. There was a rather well-known individual who could never truly calm his restless mind. He was always unstable, perpetually restless, living in profound pain and gnawing anxiety. But later, he read in the profound Infinite Life Sutra that it clearly states people in the midst of desire and attachment are born alone, die alone, come and go alone. They must bear their own joys and sorrows. No one can take their place. After carefully reading these scriptures, his mind completely relaxed. He clearly understood that in this world, every single human being, In fact, day and night, life is always rushing about every single day. Every day, we deeply long for love and profound desire, truly living within them. All the suffering and all the happiness, whether good or bad, are all experienced entirely alone. Each individual person bears them completely by themselves. We might earnestly hope to entrust our happiness to others or to material possessions and things. Many people think, for lifelong happiness, I really need to find a truly good friend, and I also need to find a really good job so that I can always be happy and joyful for the rest of my life. But if we place all our happiness solely on others, it doesn't necessarily make us truly happy. Therefore, in Buddhism, the most important and fundamental factor for a happy mind is that the main cause lies deeply within our own hearts. This is something that absolutely everyone here today should clearly understand, because if we hold a lecture like this, and if you don't feel anything at all, I honestly think it's just a complete waste of your valuable time. To be honest with you, I sincerely hope that each and every person can truly gain some real and lasting benefit from this. So, what is real benefit? In terms of our daily habits and personal feelings in life, there are certainly many noticeable differences. But today, the most fundamental reason I want to offer everyone here is this. People's overall happiness does not depend entirely or solely on their material possessions, your wealth, money, love, or external things. So does that mean these things are unnecessary? No, they are needed. But what are they? They are external conditions. You could say they are part of the external causes of happiness. True happiness genuinely comes from deep within my own heart. I especially hope that everyone truly understands this crucial point, the main reason I am talking about this topic today. The main cause of happiness, the main cause of joy is the mind. And external conditions are the actions that many people take in the world. Of course, do they have an effect? Yes, they do. But the effect they have is as external conditions. Why do I say this? Some people think that having money definitely brings happiness, 100%. But that's actually not the case. At first, when you don't have money, you might feel very happy once you get it. But when you do have money, you find that you're still not happy. Even when you have achieved a certain status, you're still not truly happy. This includes other so-called worldly desires, such as love and so on, which often leave us feeling unfulfilled. When you don't have them, you always think that maybe they are the source of happiness. But in the very end, there won't be any real, genuine happiness at all. Sometimes, what you especially long for and deeply desire as happiness may, in fact, turn into a lifelong, enduring source of profound. I once had the opportunity to read a detailed biography of Abraham Lincoln. He mentioned that in the past 23 years of his life, the most profoundly painful aspect for him was undoubtedly his love life. It widely recounted that his wife frequently and persistently nagged him every single day. She couldn't stand the way he walked, talked, even his nose and eyes. Nothing seemed right to her. It was like this every single day. Once when he was having coffee with some other people, his wife really couldn't stand his behavior anymore and poured scalding hot coffee all over his head. It was an extremely, truly, very embarrassing moment in front of everyone else. For more than 20 long, arduous years, at first he genuinely did not even fully realize it, but in the end, I truly believe that most people throughout the entire world are probably feeling the very same way. At first, you have high hopes, thinking all your happiness might come from that person. But as soon as their machine starts to have even a slight problem, your happiness is also damaged to varying degrees. At that point, you start to complain and blame the world, wondering why your happiness is built on them. But now I'm not happy, he has no conscience, and so on and so forth. Actually, if you had realized a bit earlier that your own happiness is in your own hands and the part of my happiness should be mine, otherwise, many of the deep attachments and loves in this world, especially those we cling to, in the end, there's truly nothing of significant value worth being so deeply attached to. Leo Tolstoy was a very famous and influential Russian writer. Back when we were in school, we often read his profound poetry as well. At that time, he was extremely influential for it. At that particular time, the Russian government as well, as long as he uttered a single word, it would instantly become front-page news. He became such a prominent figure that at that specific time, countless people were especially fond of him. He and his entire family always had a very, very good and strong relationship back then. They themselves, in the words of Buddhists, often made aspirations. May God truly bless and continuously support us all, and may our sweet, cherished happiness last forevermore. However, these truly good and blissful times unfortunately did not last for very long. Later, in his much older age, because in the end, Leo Tolstoy deeply felt that all of humanity profoundly needed peace and tranquility. He had a large amount of royalty. He was willing to do some charity work and help the poor. At this time, his thinking was in complete conflict with his wife's. His wife was very vain. Besides holding tightly to their wealth, she was unwilling to do any good deeds for others and then kept on. Approximately a quarter of every single day was just always spent arguing with him. When he was 82, he really couldn't take it anymore. Finally, during a particularly heavy snowfall, he sadly left his home on his own. In the very end, it's tragically said that he died alone in a desolate corner of a train station. But what exactly did he say before he passed away? He clearly stated that he did not want his wife to come and see him. From this impermanent story, we can see that many people in the world may not truly have the very same experiences as they did, but there are indeed some significant changes. Impermanent changes can always happen at any time. So, if each person bases their happiness on other people, on their accumulated wealth, or on any other external conditions or circumstances, I always feel that this is very unwise indeed. You should truly be the one to grasp the deep happiness within your very own heart. Of course, if we are fortunate enough to attain a state of profound Zen or reach even higher levels of dedicated spiritual practice, then that is an even greater and more magnificent kind of happiness. So, in order to successfully attain this extraordinary kind of happiness, what exactly do we genuinely need? The most important thing is still to uncover the treasures of our own mind. In fact, everyone possesses these treasures of the mind. In the relevant sutras, such as the Tathāgatagarbha Sutra, the Buddha said, the Shurangama Sutra, the Samdhinirmokana Sutra, as well as the Lankavatara Sutra, the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, and so on. These related scriptures contain teachings that give detailed explanations about how every sentient being possesses the luminous Buddha nature, the Tathāgatagarbha. Of course, these are profound principles. As stated in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, even 10th Bhumi Bodhisattvas find them difficult to realize, and ordinary people may not. However, we can still obtain some spiritual wealth. For example, if we were to become the highest in the world right now, it is impossible for everyone to achieve the kind of wealth that people like Bill Gates or Buffett have. But if we work hard, then economically, we can at least earn enough to support ourselves and live our lives. I think everyone can achieve this. In the same way, the wealth within our minds, as long as each person turns inward and reflects, they can also achieve. There is a common saying that in the most affluent and developed countries today, materially speaking, they are very wealthy and prosperous, but spiritually, they are extremely impoverished and lacking. There is such a saying. So now many people living in big cities, materially speaking, compared with just a few decades ago, things are indeed much, much better overall. Although everyone is very tired, if you don't work hard, there's nothing you can do. It's just like a car that runs out of fuel, it has to stop. Especially for those of you living in big cities, if you don't keep moving, it seems like you can't even guarantee your livelihood. So from morning till night, every day is spent working desperately, working desperately. There's not a simple moment to practice or cultivate yourself. Sometimes when you look at it, sentient beings are pitiable. But what matters most is nowadays, very few people accumulate spiritual wealth. If you really don't examine it, then it's very difficult to find happiness. I remember the Bodhikaryavatra, the way of the Bodhisattva. The Bodhikaryavatra is my personal favorite. It has been extremely, extremely beneficial to my whole life. And it's not just me. I have recommended it to many people. And after they studied it, each person gained something different from it. This is a required course of study in all the major lineages of Tibetan Buddhism. Now, internationally as well, many scholars and practitioners are studying it. So what exactly does this profound treatise say? It clearly states, if one does not truly know this fundamental mind, which is considered the most profoundly precious element within the secret teachings, seeking true happiness or avoiding suffering is ultimately meaningless and leads only to wandering aimlessly and without purpose. This particular line is very important. If we do not truly understand the profound mysteries and the true secrets of our own mind, if we really do not know this, then people in the world go about their days busily, drifting aimlessly, constantly searching for true happiness and always trying to escape or actively avoid suffering. But in reality, this is ineffective. They will never achieve it. Because all of our profound happiness is deeply rooted in the mind, not in fleeting material possessions, nor in anything else external. If you truly want to understand the intricate mysteries of the human mind, everyone should take a moment to look for themselves. Is my genuine happiness truly and solely rooted in? People always talk about happiness. Everyone truly loves the word happiness. Nowadays, many writers, as well as people in the media and entertainment industry, constantly and frequently discuss it. Indeed, are constantly proclaiming every day, we want happiness. But who actually attains true and lasting happiness? I firmly believe it is truly those individuals who diligently practice as taught in the profound wisdom of Buddhism, who can genuinely attain authentic happiness. Therefore, everyone should earnestly explore the intricate mysteries of the mind. To explore the mysteries of the mind, you can often reflect inwardly on your own mind. When you reflect on your mind, you will easily come to understand it. This absolutely doesn't require spending a very long time like professional scientists often do, nor does it truly require extensive research, deep academic analysis, or various speculative theories. With a simple method, by reflecting on your mind, especially this. In Chan Buddhism and Vajrayana, there are particularly profound and specific instructions and teachings. When you take the time to deeply reflect upon your own mind, it truly becomes very easy to understand. Of course, it is important to note that some exceptional individuals in history have indeed attained profound realization in a short period of time. For example, we can recall the revered Master Huaihai in the past, who, when he first went to see Master Mazu, when he arrived at Master Mazu's place, Master Mazu asked him, "Where are you from?" He replied, "I am from Dayun Temple." "What have you come here for?" He said, "I have come here to seek the Dharma." Then the Master said to him, "If you abandon the treasure of your own mind and come elsewhere to seek the Dharma, what are you really looking for? I have absolutely nothing here. There is truly no Dharma to seek." At that time, Huaihai then asked Master Mazu, "You just mentioned the treasure of the mind. What exactly is the treasure of the mind?" He replied, "The very mind with which you are asking me this question is indeed the treasure of the mind." As soon as he finished saying these words, Huaihai suddenly attained enlightenment. For those with the right karmic connection, there is a way to express this profound truth. Sometimes, with just a single sentence, when you turn your attention inward to your own mind, you immediately realize, so this is how things are in this world. Apart from this, there is nothing else. It's just that we keep going in circles. According to the exoteric schools, we observe this using the Madhyamaka method, or perhaps the Yogacara method. Other schools also have many different methods of observation. All of these are just theoretical speculations. Nowadays, many people in academia use archaeology today, philosophy tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow they use some other philosophy, this discipline or that discipline, to start their investigations. But in the end, none of them truly achieve the real goal, because this is a very profound dharma. If you say it's deep, it's extremely deep, but if you say it's simple, it's also a straightforward method. Just recognize your own mind. On this point, I think, of course, as I am here today, according to some teachings in Vajrayana, it's not very convenient to discuss. It requires preliminary practices, empowerment, and many, many layers of steps. So these are not very convenient. However, within Vajrayana, there are some theoretical principles that are quite similar to those of Chan Buddhism in the exoteric tradition. Today, I can also share these with everyone. At this point, really think about it. When we truly talk about your mind, this is indeed what I mean. Whether you are a university professor or perhaps a practitioner of Buddhism, observing your own mind is actually quite easy. When you observe your mind, it's not as mechanical materialism claims nowadays, that our mind is located in the brain. This is absolutely not the case. Nor is it in the heart, nor is it anywhere else. From beginningless time, or from childhood until now, I have believed that my mind exists, but does my mind have color? Does it have form? What exactly is it like? When you observe your own mind, it is extremely rare. Its very nature is emptiness, and it is also a kind of luminosity. This kind of mental state, in fact, is referred to in many sutras and treatises as Tathāgatagarbha, luminosity, or what is called dharmata, among many other terms. Terms like inseparability of appearance and emptiness, inseparability of clarity and emptiness, and so on, are used to describe it. When these are explained with terminology on the surface, whether you are an ordinary practitioner or an intellectual, but in fact many people have recognized the true nature of their own mind. In Tibetan Buddhism, there was a particularly great master named Mipham Rinpoche. When he went to rely on his teacher, there was a time when he was seeking out his teacher, Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. When he went in, because Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo was extremely famous in Tibet at that time, he had many loyal guards, and at that time the guards all said, "Today you are not allowed to see the master. You cannot go in." Mipham Rinpoche ignored them and rushed in forcefully. After entering, he saw his teacher sitting with a large cloak covering his head. As he sat there, he was also very afraid at the time. He didn't dare make a sound and just knelt in front of his teacher for a long time. The teacher didn't say anything, and the disciple didn't say anything either. Suddenly, with an unexpected and swift motion, the teacher reached his hand out from under the concealing cloak. He then forcefully struck him squarely on the body, and with a commanding tone, he uttered the words, "Who are you?" The moment he spoke those crucial words, "Who are you?" it became absolutely clear to him, because that distinctive voice had already unmistakably broken through the silence and revealed his true identity. In Chan Buddhism, there is a saying, "Strike the thoughts dead and allow your Dharmakaya to live." When your present thoughts are struck down, the wisdom of the Dharmakaya manifests immediately. This is also found in Tibetan Buddhism, from ancient times to the present. There are countless such examples. Truly, there are actually, in fact, quite a few people who have attained genuinely high levels of spiritual practice, and there are many individuals who have fully and profoundly realized the true, inherent nature of the mind. For example, in the profound practice of Chan Buddhism, using a huatu like, "Who are you?" a simple yet deeply contemplative question for profound introspection and contemplation, sometimes accompanied by a powerful shout or a decisive blow. Such simple yet potent phrases can instantly and completely disperse all the obscuring clouds of greed, anger, and ignorance within your mind, and then your own true enlightened nature, innate luminous nature, which every sentient being possesses, will immediately manifest. In fact, such dedicated practitioners are indeed extremely important and valuable nowadays, and they truly exist in many different places. Among the numerous people I personally know, including some very high-level leaders and people from all walks of life, there are such individuals. Some of them simply do not openly express it, but in reality, they should exist. I hope that many people, including practitioners and researchers, should make efforts from within their hearts. This is extremely important for spiritual practice, to recognize the Tathāgatagarbha, to recognize one's own mind. Like some other exoteric schools, they have long traditions of research and methods of analysis. Of course, diligently studying philosophy and the precise step-by-step reasoning of Madhyamaka, this approach can lead to understanding. My mind is not existent, not non-existent, not affirmation, not negation, not existence, not non-existence, not permanence, not annihilation, neither coming nor going, neither eternal nor ceasing, neither born nor destroyed, neither increasing nor decreasing, and so on. One can also analyze in this way. At this point, it is just as described in the Heart Sutra. Form is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. Some people think, how can form be emptiness? And how can emptiness be form? Actually, if we look at it from some worldly theories nowadays, this is very important. Some people think, apart from form, there is a separate emptiness, that form and emptiness are separate. This explanation is incorrect. I have seen interpretations like this, but they are unreasonable. This is something intellectuals nowadays find to be a very easy to understand method of reasoning. For example, in physics, it breaks things down from molecules, atoms, atomic nuclei, and finally to quarks and subquarks. If we simply talk about quarks, is the essence of this bottle actually quarks? Anyone who carefully studies the principles of quantum mechanics would certainly say that this is a particular kind of quark. Quarks are really indeed the bottle. I can quite just reason it out this. The bottle is not different from quarks. Quarks are not different from color. Color is quarks and quarks are color. So, could other people also make such a mistake like this too? If it's quarks, then exactly how do you drink water? You can't see quarks with the naked eye, and you can't drink water from them. Many intellectuals do. I suggest form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Maybe if you understand it this way, it'll be a bit better, okay? Otherwise, a lot of people often feel like, how exactly can form be emptiness? How can emptiness truly be form? That's when we haven't examined things in sufficient detail. Of course, the bottle isn't quarks, and quarks aren't the bottle. We're not even talking about subquarks, and there are even finer things like fields, vacuum. Let's not get into those. But if we look closely, it really is this bottle, beyond quarks. Sub-subquarks, the most subtle things, ultimately turn into a kind of emptiness. So at this point, its essence, before being examined, is just a bottle. We're still using it as such. When we observe things from Madhyamaka perspective, all phenomena, it doesn't mean that, in conventional terms, cause and effect are also empty. It's not that good deeds don't bring good results or bad deeds don't bring bad results. Some people take it too far. How do they go too far? They say all causes and effects are completely empty. No, that's not it. Don't think that way. If that were the case, we wouldn't need to eat, go to the bathroom. If everything were empty, would that work? People might say so, but in reality, this is called confusing the ultimate and the conventional truths. It means the basic theories of Buddhism haven't been understood. There are people like this nowadays too, who only know just a few basic terms, and then start to completely distort the true intent of the Buddhist scriptures. This is truly quite unreasonable indeed. When we analyze things from a certain Madhyamaka perspective, form is not different from emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form. The nature of mind is emptiness. The nature of emptiness is luminosity. These two can be reasoned about in this way. The nature of mind is emptiness, and the nature of emptiness is luminosity. It's not just mere emptiness. If it were just mere emptiness, then all our current thoughts, including the future Dharmakaya and Rupakaya, none of these could manifest. The non-duality of appearance and emptiness, the union of merit and wisdom, there are so many profound meanings here. Right now, at the stage of the path, we can observe these things. We can also come to understand them through our own practice. This is the general, very simple method of reasoning in the exoteric, which gives us a basic understanding of the nature of mind. It's actually not very difficult. If you go a step further by incorporating some of the profound resting methods derived from Chan Buddhism, or by engaging with the intricate generation and completion stages found within Vajrayana practices, and diligently practicing certain specific techniques, although these methods exist, if you don't practice some of them properly, if the preliminary practices before that are not complete, there is also a certain risk. The best approach is that if all the previous stages have been completed, as I mentioned earlier, some of the direct pointing methods to recognize the nature of mind in Vajrayana and in Chan Buddhism, which also does not rely on written words, are the highest and most straightforward methods of guidance from a master. Through a single pointing out or even just a single phrase, those with the sharpest faculties can become fully awakened in their own minds. Many people only show a slight sign of this kind of awakening. For example, by simply looking at the sunlight or the beautiful flowers, they can completely understand through a certain profound method. When one fully understands, it is clear to oneself, but others have no idea about the state of your mind stream. From that moment on, you know that the true nature of your mind has always been like this. Always. Countless sentient beings have not realized this point, and they continue to endlessly drift in the cycle of samsara, suffering and enduring profound pain every single day. At that time, a natural compassion for all sentient beings arises within you. This is called compassion that is genuinely directed toward all sentient beings, just as described in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra and the Mahaprajnaparamita Shastra. It is truly the genuine great compassion. This kind of Buddha nature is actually already present in every person, day and night. Every night we sleep embracing the Buddha, and every morning we rise together with him. There is such a saying, day and night we sleep holding the Buddha close. Our hearts have never been separated from it. There is neither separation nor union. When you wake up in the morning, you have never been apart from Buddha nature, but people simply do not recognize it. Water, in fact, is a liquid, but when it turns into a solid, the fundamental essence of water has never truly changed. The waves of the ocean have never actually been separate from the ocean itself. When the waves are rising, in reality, they are not different from the ocean at all. All sentient beings give rise to all kinds of discriminating thoughts: greed, anger, ignorance. Yet, within the profound, non-dual nature of the Tathagata's appearance and emptiness, they have truly never been apart from it. But without the essential guidance of a good and wise teacher, we regrettably remain perpetually confused. Of course, if you remain deeply confused and unenlightened, you will inevitably continue to suffer endlessly in the relentless cycle of rebirth within the three realms of existence. The 8 great sufferings, as well as the 3 major sufferings, will relentlessly keep tormenting you. This is a profound and fundamental process that everyone truly needs to understand and contemplate deeply. Therefore, I think that in big cities nowadays, whether it's people or many schools, they really aren't lacking in advanced, high-tech means or sophisticated methods. Many individuals today are also exceptionally intelligent and remarkably capable. Their talents and wisdom are not really lacking either. But what is most truly lacking? One significant thing is education in traditional culture. Many people don't know how to conduct themselves. Even after earning a PhD or a master's degree, when they truly enter into society, they genuinely don't know how to properly handle many different things. This is also something that truly deserves serious and careful attention. Another thing is that nowadays, many people really lack understanding and faith in Buddhism. So if a person has no faith, I once read some information from Korea. It said that young people in some countries have no hope and no happiness. Why is that? It's because they have no faith. At first, initially, when I carefully read this, it seemed quite a bit far-fetched. But in reality, people do indeed need faith. Without it, right in front of their very eyes, this entire world is just a very fleeting one, because you don't acknowledge past or future lives either. A person is just an animal that lives for a few decades, or like a blade of grass that lasts only a few decades. In that case, in this world, you could commit any evil without restraint. You could do anything you want. Your entire state of being could potentially turn into all kinds of undesirable and problematic bad behaviors. So I see that in some universities. Sometimes it's true that college students are actually quite pitiful, because from a young age they haven't received this kind of education. Quite frequently, college students encounter difficulties in effectively managing their relationships with their academic advisors or their fellow classmates, which often leads to various kinds of conflicts and disagreements that tend to arise. Also, because they don't have enough blessings from past lives, in this life, some don't have much money, they can't even go shopping and so on, so every single day feels really quite boring. Especially for some dedicated PhD students and graduate students, there are relatively few substantial research projects available at their academic institutions. Consequently, they are often not very serious or deeply engaged with the important research endeavors they are expected to undertake themselves. This situation causes them to feel extremely restless and unsettled deep inside, and they consistently experience a profound sense of loneliness or persistent worry throughout their time at university. They often have all kinds of anxiety, and some individuals even develop many serious health problems. After entering society, they end up ruining their own future as well. And many people also think that after graduating from university, their bright and promising future and happiest life might very well be to start a loving family and establish a fulfilling career. They often wonder when they'll truly be able to quickly form a wonderful and supportive family. This is indeed the heartfelt wish in the hearts of many, many people. Especially now, many people are actively looking for jobs and so on. But in reality, when you eventually get to that significant point, when you truly have a family, when you genuinely have accumulated wealth, you still feel very unhappy and especially envy the wonderful life you had as a student. You think, wow, I was wrong back then. I was so happy. It turns out that the years I spent in school were actually the most glorious time of my life. Now I've truly become a servant. I'm truly very pitiful. At that time, you feel very sad. Actually, from early childhood all the way through studying, then to starting a family and career, and finally people without faith truly feel a lack of belonging in life. Of course, faith is partly related to a person's own fortune, but also to our environment, teachers, our own family, parents, and so on. There are all kinds of complex causes and conditions. With these causes and conditions, some people develop faith. Once you have faith, you can gradually improve your character. This is not particularly difficult. So I think for many people here, faith is extremely important. In the past, some people said that people nowadays need to buy cars and houses and also look for their friends, social status, and so on. People truly need these essential things. Of course, as I just mentioned, these are just external conditions. But fundamentally, we need faith, we need character, and we need lofty ideals and altruistic thinking. This is very important. If we don't have an altruistic mindset, even in school, no matter what situation you are currently in, what exactly is your goal? It's just to make money for yourself, just to live your own life. This is indeed very unscientific and also profoundly inhumane. Therefore, as conscious human beings, we should truly cultivate a much broader and more enlightened vision. At the same time, of course, if you have the wonderful opportunity, please do read some profound Buddhist texts and scriptures. But just reading Buddhist texts is not enough. I think we need to have faith in the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and lineage masters. Faith is extremely important. If you read a book with a truly devout and sincere heart, the profound effect is truly remarkable, completely different from reading it with a research mindset or just out of curiosity. Those are entirely and completely different. If you truly read a book with great devotion and deep understanding, it's very possible that even if you used to be a very bad person, you could later become a truly good person. This is indeed possible. There was once a revered Chan master named C.A. who in his earlier life was a butcher by trade. Later, while he was in the process of slaughtering a pig and vividly witnessing its fresh crimson blood powerfully spurt out, he suddenly observed his own mind and became enlightened on the spot. Afterwards, he then left behind a poignant verse saying, "Yesterday, the mind of a demon, today the face of a bodhisattva." There is no line separating a demon from a bodhisattva. Yesterday I was a butcher, and today I have become an enlightened monk. Then he went to other places to begin spreading the Dharma and benefiting sentient beings. There are really, indeed, such stories. In fact, many people, if they truly pay attention to observing their own minds, it's actually not that difficult. If you don't understand this point, then no matter how much you talk about it verbally or academically, it may not make a difference. Padmasambhava also said in the past, understanding the nature of the mind is very important. If you don't understand the nature of the mind, even a truly great wise person who can expound all the essential teachings will indeed still be confused. But if you really understand the secret of the mind, even if you are a particularly dull shepherd, we say that even a simple shepherd, indeed, even a humble herder, can truly attain ultimate liberation. This in itself is a very important and profound statement for everyone present here today. If any one of you, whether you are a Dharma teacher, a regular teacher, or just an ordinary person, if you truly understand the true nature of the human mind, then you are a great wise person, you are a true practitioner, you are a great scholar. You could say that. But if you don't understand, even though I am speaking directly in front of you right now, or your dedicated teacher is lecturing you clearly from the academic podium, but if you have absolutely no understanding of your own inner mind at all, I truly think that such a person cannot really be called a truly wise one. If you do not genuinely recognize your true mind, then any cultivation is of absolutely no benefit whatsoever. This profound statement is precisely what is said in the Venerable Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch, isn't it really? If we do not recognize our true mind, then our practice is nothing more than planting a virtuous seed, a seed of positive potential that will eventually blossom into spiritual growth. That's all it truly is. Nowadays, many Buddhist groups spend all day doing fire offerings today, and then they move on to something else entirely different tomorrow, and so on, continuously shifting their focus. You all, especially, seem to have a particular fondness for these fire offerings here, don't you think so? Maybe even in the university, you are doing fire offerings too. Is that the case or not? Probably not, right? Maybe there aren't any in the university. Fire offerings are great. Fire offerings are a very good practice in Vajrayana Buddhism. But the most crucial thing, this is how I am, I prefer to start from the theoretical aspect. It's just like a school. The image of the school and every action the school takes are important. But what is most truly important is diligently studying the Dharma, no matter whether you study the exoteric school, the esoteric school, or any specific sect of any spiritual tradition. As long as it is genuine, they are all the same. It's the same for Buddhists. There's no need to argue back and forth among ourselves. In fact, sometimes we don't study the important things, but instead argue over trivial matters, talking about right and wrong every day. Buddhists truly shouldn't behave in this manner. Instead, we should all strive to unite together in harmony and understanding. Just a couple of days ago, I had the opportunity to meet a new Buddhist friend. I politely inquired, "May I ask where you are originally from?" He then responded, "I am originally from the city of Chaozhou." I said, "When I used to go to Singapore and Thailand, Chaozhou people are really quite good and very successful. Why are Chaozhou people like this?" He said, "We Chaozhou people, on one hand, we value unity, and we're also hardworking and thrifty. But fundamentally, that's the older generation. The younger ones nowadays aren't the same." He said, "The younger generation isn't as good. The older generation always talked about unity." If there is true unity, wherever there are Chaozhou people, they will always help each other out. It truly doesn't matter where you're originally from or where I'm from. At that moment, I thought to myself, actually, as Buddhists, of course, we don't reject any other religions, nor do we exclude non-Buddhists. That's not the case. But Buddhists themselves truly need to establish this kind of profound unity. That means being deeply united with one another, and everyone diligently working together to uphold the true altruistic power of the Buddha. It's not about pointing out each other's faults or gossiping about right and wrong. Otherwise, in the end, we will destroy ourselves and dig our own graves. There is that risk. So whether it's any Buddhist or other organization, I think for it to come into being, there must be certain causes and conditions. But how such organizations survive and thrive in the future, the people of Hong Kong involved need a particularly well-rounded education. Buddhist education is indispensable at present. Right now, many devout Buddhists, including some prominent intellectuals who diligently study Buddhism, also unfortunately lack a truly proper understanding of Buddhism. On this particular point, I have also personally interacted with many esteemed intellectuals, including those individuals who specialize in Buddhist studies. However, they don't have much available time to study systematically. If you haven't studied it in sufficient depth, then when we speak to other people under the banner of Buddhism in the future, sometimes it may not align with the true intent of Buddhism, and there may be a certain gap or a noticeable distance. This includes Buddhist scholars or indeed some dedicated practitioners. Everyone truly must make a concerted and diligent effort to delve deeply into what we often talk about: listening, contemplation, and practice. First, study systematically. After studying, you will basically understand. But there is no end to learning. You can't just say, I've studied 1 or 2 treatises, so that's enough. Nowadays, many Buddhists, including those who research Buddhism, don't actually study. They just get a superficial understanding of the words and then draw conclusions. This is very unreasonable for any field of knowledge in the world, whether it's chemistry, physics, or mathematics, and so on. For any field of knowledge, if you don't study it in detail and only have a rough understanding, skimming the surface and swallowing things whole, then you draw a clear conclusion. How reasonable is that? In the academic world, in more rigorous settings, this is not accepted either. Let alone Buddhism, which is truly as vast as an immense ocean and as profoundly deep as it is extensively broad. Within such a truly comprehensive treasury of Dharma, it is indeed even less possible to arrive at a truly accurate and complete conclusion this way. So, I think many people really need to make studying the Dharma a very top and essential priority. If you don't have a proper and systematic foundational education, then the behavior of many Buddhists may also become just a matter of appearances. Buddhism often becomes just bowing down, burning fragrant incense, or simply attending various empowerments, and nothing more. Receiving blessings, reciting mantras. Of course, these are all good things. But this is something even a very skilled Qigong master can really do. There's nothing particularly profound about it at all. Actually, Buddhism is not truly like that. To be honest with you, if you truly understand it, it can genuinely help you relieve the suffering in your heart, or purify your thoughts, or even truly elevate your sense of self-mastery and fully develop your altruistic mind. There are so many treasures, so to speak, within the teachings of Buddhism, but most Buddhists basically don't touch them, nor do they practice them. If you just leave the treasure here and go searching elsewhere, it still won't work. Therefore, our true treasure truly lies deep within ourselves. And within the vast Buddhist scriptures and extensive treatises, there are indeed even more profound and deeper treasures. These treasures found in the Buddhist scriptures and treatises are still centered around our Buddha nature within our own minds. Therefore, for each person, according to their own unique circumstances, it is crucial to develop the treasures of the mind. Of course, what I want to emphasize to everyone in the end is this: when you have reached a certain level of realization and practice, you must never trample on the law of cause and effect. For example, in Chinese Buddhist history, there are stories like Nansen cutting the cat, or Dangxia burning the sacred Buddha statue, Jigong eating delicious meat, and so on and so forth. These are some particularly profound actions, but these are truly the insights of those who have attained realization when they have reached the very highest level. In terms of their actions, in order to tame certain sentient beings, they may manifest such behaviors. Generally speaking, as your level of realization increases, your actions in terms of observing cause and effect and helping sentient beings become more and more in accordance with the Dharma. You must never act like some people do nowadays, where your actions are as lofty as a mountain peak, but your understanding doesn't even grasp the basic principle that good deeds bring good results and bad deeds bring bad results. In that particular case, your understanding and your actions do not truly correspond. That is precisely why, in the past, Chan Master Yaoshan of the esteemed Chan school also said, standing atop a lofty mountain, walking in the depths of the sea. This saying is very important. If your understanding truly stands as high as the majestic mountain peak, but your actions are as low as the profound depths beneath the water, just like here in the vibrant city of Hong Kong, you have the vast expansive sea. What do you call the expansive area beneath the vast ocean? It's just like that. Our actions should always be carried out kindly and in accordance with the sacred Dharma, especially regarding the acceptance and rejection of cause and effect. Padmasambhava of Tibet also spoke about this point. If our profound understanding is truly higher than the vast sky itself, then our actions should be even more meticulously precise than the finest powder. This means when it comes to actions, you must never carelessly slander, take life, or do anything that is not in accordance with the Dharma. As for understanding, you must find ways to elevate it. Only in this profound way can we truly nourish our hearts. Once the precious treasure of the heart is fully opened, we can then fulfill the heartfelt wishes of countless sentient beings, allowing them to genuinely experience true happiness, both temporarily and ultimately in their journey.